Okay, the soul, what is it? Okay, it's a field of green. Dear folks of Baba, one of you suggested this topic to get a sense of where the soul lies in the terrain, so to speak, of our interior, and what are the intimations of the soul in our day-to-day life. These are some of my reflections. Baba has said that the soul is beyond creation, but when it interfaces with creation, it is known as a spirit. For this reason, I regard the terms as synonymous. The soul or spirit is beyond the consciousness of most people. Just as on an overcast day, we say the sun isn't out, although it is certainly there. Our awareness of the soul is beyond the consciousness that is clouded over with our impressions or sanskaras. It is the elephant in the room that we rarely even talk about. Rumi has said, if the door of the soul were to open for an instant, you would see that the heart of every existent thing is your intimate friend. So beautifully put, he is not referring to the opening of the door of the heart, which we all know and experience. As invaluable as the heart is in our lives, there is always the duality, me and other. I love you, you love me. I love Baba, he loves me. With the soul, there is oneness, no duality. The Sufis refer to the soul as the heart of hearts. Baba has said we are sometimes blessed with the fleeting experience of unity with the divine, the soul, and the goal is for these moments to become abiding. Darwin would use the word merge. As we move toward the soul, we begin to merge with everything, from rose to ant to people and to ourselves, and unifying everything. The love of Baba and Mehera, the soul is all-encompassing. Nothing is left outside. Darwin used to encourage us to rise to the level of the spirit, which is a realm beyond the heart, and live from there. Mani, Baba's sister, used to say, you have to see things through Baba's eyes. I didn't realize back then that this was an option. As an intermediate experience, we sometimes get the experience of impulses and inspiration coming from the soul, even if we don't experience the soul itself directly. We know its color and fragrance. On rare occasions, we might experience this sometimes with music. We say she sang from her soul. We might feel this in witnessing a father coming home from work and the kids race out of the house and run into his arms, or a lost dog that finally finds its master. We might have seen 100 sunrises, but on this occasion, the beauty is so exquisite that we are left breathless. And most important, when we experience Baba's presence, that is the very soul itself, the soul of souls, because he is the embodiment of the soul. When one is deeply moved to their core, they say their hair stood on end. They felt bumps or a thrill in the deepest strata of their heart. When we experience things at the most profound level, we are touching on the soul. In the course of our lives, we have these moments. Our consciousness eventually expands to include the experience of the soul, or ourselves as soul. And it is complete when we are fully conscious of divine love itself, Baba. The doorway to the soul is not ultimately through the heart center, but as Esfandiar Vasali, one of the Pramashram boys, would explain, it is further below at the level of the abdomen. He said this realm is deeper than the 7 chakras. He referred to this place as the Del or Dil, The thrill we felt at the bottom of our stomach when we went very high in a swing as kids is where I place the doorway to the soul. The soul, of course, is beyond the body. What experiences have you had that seem to be of the soul? What situations in your life touch the deepest strata of your being? Do you sometimes find yourself feeling so complete with Baba that nothing more needs to be added? Are there inner states within you that you find are more receptive to the experience of the soul? What impedes in your access to the soul? The heart is always striving to rise above duality, but the soul is deeply content and complete, requiring nothing more. The soul may be prompted to make great efforts by expressing love to improve a situation in life. But at the innermost level, the soul is always at peace with what is. In his love, Jeff.
Thank you, Paula. Now, I mean, I didn't want, talking about the soul to seem, like I said, esoteric or transcendental or metaphysical, but rather, what signs and intimations, insights, what fragrance of the soul do we feel down here at the street level? Darwin used to say, even though we're on the gross plane, we do receive inspirations and insights and refined feelings flowing in from the deeper places within ourselves. And some of these things may proceed from the soul itself. I mean, we're not just stuck down here in a, in some little cage. we're receiving infusions from a deeper level. And, to distinguish these experiences from just ordinary experiences, I've found is valuable to do. And we all know that quote of Baba's where he says, "The voice that is heard deep within the soul is my voice, the voice of inspiration, insight." Is it insight? Voice of inspiration, intuition, and guidance. Through those who are receptive to this voice, I speak. And I remember Bob reading where Baba said about Francis Brabazon. Francis, referring to his book, Stay with God, Francis has written a 6-plane book, and he's only on the gross plane. So we're, depending on how receptive we are, things can come through us that aren't just, the rerunning, recycling of our ordinary conventional experience. But anyway, this is a kind of a difficult topic, oh, good, we got a customer already.
Yeah. Bakery ticket line 1, Marta Flores.
You got a customer, because I wanted to read Baba's words when we start, because they were new to me, and I think that Jeff covered a lot of it, but it's short, and it's from Lord Mehera, and it said, Baba discoursed about reincarnation, explaining what spirit means. The soul always remains the same. It is only the spirit which reincarnates and takes successive possession of bodies. People do not understand what spirit is and only vaguely use the term. There are so many terms used for one aspect. The soul is infinite, everlasting, and pure. At present, you do not realize the soul, and your mind means everything to you. Yet the mind is not you. It is what clothes are to the body. You are not the mind that feels and experiences everything. You are not the ego. You are the soul. Until it is realized, the spirit or soul has to reincarnate and change bodies. You change your clothing when it becomes old, and so it is with the body. You all have had so many bodies, yet your soul never changes. It is a spirit which reincarnates again and again until you get back to the source of all, which is Baba.
Beautiful. That would have been a nice quote to have in there, but good that you brought it out at the beginning here. Now, so do some of you have, I mean, even if you can share some of the experiences that you had that are kind of more out of the ordinary from your conventional experiences. And I know you don't be shy about sharing some of it. You may not want to share your most magnificent experiences, but oh, good.
Ronnie?
I'll go for it. I was listening, or I was participating in the remembrance of Adi Kearani this morning on the Zoom, and he had this prayer that he created back in the late 70s. I don't have it with me, so I can't share it right now. But some of you may know the one I'm talking about. I realized that what he was praying for was he was praying for all of us, but he had received what he was basically hoping to receive from Baba, and I believe the reason for that was what he talked about was wanting to have the love and the obedience, and the remembrance, and most of all, serving Baba's pleasure. And I think if any of us, all of us, each one of us, the more we put into those things, those activities, those remembrances, and stuff, with great sincerity, honesty, and intensity, we basically, you have all those things standing at the door of your heart, and some of the stuff that doesn't have anything to do really with Baba or spirituality, they have to leave because they have to make room for these other spiritual and soulful qualities that want to enter in, because that's what Baba wants to do. He wants to have his abode in our heart. And so he also, if we let these things go, it makes room for him. And I think when somebody is being soulful in the world the way they are, maybe they're singing a song, or they're writing a poem, or doing acting on a stage, or doing a job, or mopping the floor, whatever it might be, they might do it with their soul. And that means at the time they've eliminated all the things that are limiting, because the soul is unlimited. So you want to get some of that unlimitedness in by dumping out the limited part. And I think Baba's there to strip those things away, but we have to let it, we have to prepare for that by, like Adi was suggesting, through love, obedience, remembrance, and thinking of Baba's pleasure before our own. And then it just happens automatically, because we are the soul. It's just a matter of it manifesting.
Excellent, Ronnie.
That's how it was striking me, thinking about Adi's life, but not just Adi's life. I mean, I think we can see it in other people as they grow in their maturity and spirituality. It happens automatically.
Hey, Jeff, before we go on, in
Yeah.
the chat, Christina has asked if you would pose the question again.
It's, what kind of intimations, what kind of experiences do you have in your day-to-day life that seem to come from that deeper dimension? It can be Baba's presence, but also it can be an experience of beauty. It can be a creative flash. Anything, what, I'm just curious because I know that um, that that was kind of the subject that was asked is, what, as Janet had mentioned, for people to kind of share what that aspect of who they are and how it comes, how they kind of experience it in the course of their lives. Does that make sense, Christina? Because we have kind of ordinary experiences. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, thank you. That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. In other words, we're not talking about the soul as defined in God Speaks or infinite intelligence. We're more down here on the street level.
Janet,
I wanted to say a couple of things. One is, I think that that prayer Ron is talking about is the one that says, Baba, please help us all, that in the stress and strain of our daily lives and the fluctuations of our minds, we learn to relax wholly and wholeheartedly and float on your ocean of love and call forth your breath of joy, breeze of compassion, and wind of strength to flood into every fiber of our body, corner of our minds, and space in our hearts, and cleanse us of our impurities, that we might be worthy of your love, your service, your obedience, and most of all, your pleasure. Is that the one, Ron? Yeah.
That's
anyway,
it, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
definitely.
wrote that in the farm shed, the cabin here.
where is that
Really?
from, Janet?
Um, I don't remember. I just made it. I made it. I committed it to memory,
Oh,
Diane.
wow.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's not that hard because I say it every night. So after a couple of years, my brain has it right down.
Tell me what's the first sentence? Maybe I could search for it.
Baba, please
It's
help
in-
us
in
all.
Adi's book.
Richard's got the book right there.
It's in Adi's book, Just to Love Him. It's the very first piece of writing in Adi's book.
All right.
But the
Yeah,
other
I can send it to you, Diane.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can send it to you.
wow. Thank you,
Yeah.
Marta. Terry thanks you.
I did.
the other thing I wanted to
Really?
say is that, you
And
know,
thanks for the visual aid, Rick.
Yeah.
the
Sure.
other thing I wanted to say is that, in Effort and Grace, that one, Diane, what not the thing where we're 4 times a day saying, as,
Dress your soul with Baba.
dress
Yeah.
your soul with Baba. And so, I'm sure many of us have been doing that. And I'm kind of like, what in the heck does that mean I'm doing? Dress my soul with Baba. And that's where the question came out of, really, because I'm like, I mean, I hate to, it doesn't mean a lot to me if I just say things that are words, dress my soul with Baba. But I mean, the only thing I can think of is that there's something I read a long time ago that the bindings are around our soul, and that they, they bind our soul. I don't know what else to say, that the bindings bind our soul. And so I'm wondering if dress your soul in Baba means that the soul has Baba around it, and that helps to clear those bindings. I don't know. That is a thought I've had, so that dress my soul in you, Baba, has meaning beyond just being words. If that makes sense to others.
Yeah, I remember, Darwin said you kind of grow into a definition of that works for you, It becomes a little more real instead of like dressing, in the previous thing that Baba referred to your person, who you are is like just your clothes, and your soul is beyond your clothes. So instead of hanging your clothes on a cloak rack, you know, on you hang those on Baba. You know. You,
I hope I can share this
yeah,
image
go ahead.
with the love it's meant to be. But when I heard that dress your soul with Baba, I immediately went to this visual of me bringing my hands up in the air, like really being free and releasing, and having the outfit, the slip or the dress or the coat come down, like shimmy down my entire being, all the way from my head to my toes. And while I say dress my soul with Baba, and it has helped. And it actually, for me, lightens me up when I think of Baba's wanting us to smile and not be garlic face, which I can get to be quite easily if you talk to my wife. So that's helpful for me.
Beautiful, yeah. I sometimes think of it as like a warm woolen coat, or on a cold day, you know. But well, we've got Goer there. She's been doing this for probably over 50 years, I'm sure. How would you describe it?
Well, my most soulful moment was, of course, when I first laid eyes on Baba. Even though I was almost 8 years old, just about 8 years old. I remember when I think back on that moment, I can just I have this sense of completeness, wholeness. I could have stood there and looked at him for eternity. I just cannot describe the moment and that time. So that truly was my most unique, soulful moment, if you will. But, you know, of course, through the years and when you live life, there are so many instances where something touches you to the core, as Jeff says. And, you know, whether it's a piece of music or whether it's a glorious sunset or just being with your grandchildren. I mean, it's just moments like that that just touch you to the core, and you know that you feel absolutely complete and whole. And that's a soulful moment for me. So
Beautiful. Now, but can you share about, since we were just on that subject of dressing your soul with Baba, I know you've been doing that for ages.
Yeah, well, to dress your soul means to just be with Baba in the most natural way possible throughout your day, where whatever you're doing, starting out your day, you think of Baba and you know, invite him to be with you, to spend the day with you. Then throughout your day, whatever you're doing, before you do something, think of Baba. Before you put a bite of food in your mouth, you know, think of Baba. Say, I find myself thanking him, I don't know, countless times a day. Baba, thank you. Most of all, when I'm driving with my husband, oh, God bless him. Oh, he gives me more opportunities to think of Baba than anybody else. Absolutely true. So yes. So, you know, it's just all throughout the day. And then of course at night, it's, to me, it's become so natural. It's just, Baba is like, I can't explain it. It's, he's just there with me every second of the day. We were out with friends this afternoon, enjoying a nice day on, they have a house on the lake here in upstate, in little upstate Florida. And we were spending the most part of the day with them. But just to sit there and look out on this scene in front of me just reminded me of, you know, just Baba. It's all Baba. So I can't put it any other way. So and I just came across, I was reading Lord Mehera as I do.
Whoop, I think she's gotten a little frozen there. Oh, now she's moving.
Yeah, it's about the mind merging into the soul, which ultimately is, you know, brings you to realization. And Baba explains it so beautifully. He says, nothing is ever written on you, but on your mind. You, the soul, remain untarnished. good and bad, everything is written on your mind. When the impressions go, then all is wiped out. Mind sees the soul. This is illumination. When good and bad are written off the mind, mind sees the soul. Mind then tries to become one with the soul. This is realization. Mind seeing the soul means you seeing God, but mind does not become you, you being God. Mind must merge in the soul for you to become God. When mind merges in soul, then you are God realized. So there you have it.
Beautiful. Excellent.
So
Let's go on to Richard.
Well, I think my mind has three different conceptual versions of what you're talking about, Jeff. So what I'm going to do is choose one of those three and stay away from the cosmological, metaphysical, whatever. And I think Goher just hit for sure number 2. So what I'm going to talk about is when I was about 13, our parents, my brother and I and my parents went to visit a cousin. And so we went into Kansas and we were in the basement of this house. And this cousin just started to drive. So he was 16 and he had a job and he had a little 45 record player with the lid you fold up, the little arm. And he had all kinds of little 45 discs laying around on the floor. And so he was getting ready for work, but my brother and I were just kind of figuring out what he's doing. We were listening to him. And of course, we're young, we're just kids, right? But he's already started to go out into the world and find himself and do stuff. And I think where this goes is, this was really the first moment that I realized that there was a world. Up till then, I was a kid. And I was just living in my kid's world under my parents' domain, like is expressed by Inyat Khan and some others. And all of a sudden he put on a record and he played 2 or 3 of these little records, 45 RPMs. And my world opened up like as if you had just turned on the brightest light you've ever seen in your life. Just like that. And it was a couple different records. One was Splish Splash, I was taking a bath along about Saturday night. That's Bobby Darin. And another one was Bop, bop, loo, bop, the bing, bang, bong, tutti frutti, whoa, Rudy, a tutti frutti, whoa, Rudy, which was a very dirty song that the record company made Little Richard clean up, and I didn't know anything about that. I just knew that music exploded in my head, and I knew there was a world. It wasn't just me tinkering around in the backyard with the Tonka toy. So that was a soul experience for me. Thank you.
That's great. Wow. The coming of age
Let's
among
go
your
to Martha.
Legos.
Oh, sorry.
You're
Martha,
a good singer, Richard. Good singer and good actor. So I'm going to share an experience where Baba touched my soul, is all I can say. And it was in a dream. And I'll only tell you the third part to cut it short. And I'm in a huge room with hundreds or thousands of people there because Baba is there in the room. And he's sitting at a big, large table in the middle of the room. And I'm sitting in a chair right next to him. And I'm looking at him. And people are bringing malas and holy cards and pictures and photos and clothing for him to touch and bless. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't have anything. I don't even have my purse. I have nothing for Baba to touch. Oh my God. And then I think, oh, I have this ring on that my dear, dear friend who loves me dearly made for me a million years ago. I said, I'll take that off and have Baba touch it and bless it. And just when I had that thought, Baba looked at me and said, he said, no. He said, I've touched you and you're mine forever. I don't have to touch anything else. I've touched you. And At that moment, my entire life could have ended. As far as I'm concerned, if I die in 2 hours or half an hour, I don't even care. Baba said he's touched me and I'm his. And to me, that was a moment of my soul being recognized by the creator of my soul, my beloved. So it was so beautiful, so beautiful. Yeah.
Wow.
So
More than
that was
beautiful.
yeah, it was such a blessing. Thanks for letting me share that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
lovely.
Go here. Yeah, sweet.
Tony.
The dream.
Hi, Jay Baba. Um, I've got to start off by saying that I'm feeling very rebellious about this subject, and the way it's presented anyway, and particularly the idea of God speaks as being sort of like out there metaphysical. The day I recognized Baba, I went to the neighborhood. I was telling a friend, he handed me a copy of God Speaks, and I read the first chapter. No, I read Don Stevens' introduction, but then I read the first chapter, and it was like reading a Dick and Jane book, the primers that you read in like elementary school. Some souls are gross conscious, some souls that are gross conscious are not subtle. Souls that have subtle conscious have impressions of the subtle world. They don't have impressions of the mental. It's like very simple, you got it. And the soul is the oversoul, is one with the oversoul. Atma is Paramatma. There is nothing else. It's like the whole book of God Speaks really is all there in that first thing, and it's all Baba. It is all Baba. You, everything, the consciousness, especially the consciousness of it is that which is conscious of, in at least like in chapter 1 of God Speaks. I did just look up Adi's comment of what Baba said, and that he talks about spirit as an aspect of the soul that is in touch with things, but it's still the soul. There's nothing but Baba in you, and Baba as the ocean, Baba as the drop, Baba as the ocean, and we feel Baba, we feel joy, we feel extraordinary, wonderful things. It's all Baba. It's all soul. It's all. So that's my experience. I tried to make a little bit of notes. Spirit. Oh, so his spirit in the newer Baba books, by which I mean the old ones that were recently discovered, of talks Baba gave or discourses he gave to the Premashram kids, things like that. In God's Hand, all of those. He talks about spirit in there, and I don't know. I'm a little suspicious of if the book would have been a little different if Baba had edited it. And so I don't feel like I get, he does refer to spirit in there, but at least as of now, I don't really get it. If there's something there, I'm missing it. However, I think about three things that I'm, my relationship with Baba is core, but I'm also very much involved with the Course in Miracles, and I've done a lot of study and training in Ericksonian hypnosis. And all three are really, in a certain sense, when you talk about coming in touch with Baba, are, to me, speaking of the same place. So Course in Miracles talks about the Holy Spirit, which I think is the only spirit there is. It is that within you, that part of you that's, as Baba says, with one hand on reality and the other hand on illusion. So God as God, soul as soul, doesn't, this illusion is nothing. It only knows reality. But Baba, or as the spirit in us, is connected to the truth and the illusion. And so that's the place I find I can go to get guidance. And it's not like I'm going to get specific words. You go to your unconscious. That's where the Ericksonian hypnosis is very similar. You trust in Baba within you. You ask, and then you become aware. Somehow the unconscious presence of the spirit reveals it to me. So that's how I... similar with Course in Miracles, same sort of thing. Let's see if I have anything else. Spirit, when spirit is, yeah, I said that. Oh, the other thing is, colloquially, when we speak of soul, I think it's something else altogether, and it's not something that it's so definable. We all kind of know the experience, we use the term, we know what we mean. Something touched my soul. It I think brings you into that consciousness of Baba, your own real consciousness, your own real self. But there's any words belittle it. Any intellectual formula, any words I think belittle the experience. Singing something with soul, he sang that with so much soul, or that was such a soulful expression of her heart or something. So in that way, I think it's that also which, like God himself, herself, is indefinable. It's what the love we experience, but also the whatever we're conscious of. Like in God Speaks, it's God is conscious of the gross conscious soul, the subtle conscious soul, the mental. It's God is Adi says that aspect of soul is apart. It's just conscious, and so we're. Yeah, I was going to say something else, and it just flew away. So I guess that's the end of my share.
Okay. Thank you. And we got a whole different camera angle on this. Anyone else?
Terry, I'm going to call on Terry because I saw her hand right next to me.
Aha.
Well, Jai Baba, everyone. I can't really explain it. I've always had this spirit thing inside of me. It's always been there, whether I meditated or, when I was into the goddess, whatever it was, Wiccan, it was always inside of me. I do have to say that when Baba joined me, my being, everything about my life just feels so very different. And that's how I knew for me that it was the real deal. Because I think, I never got to meet him or many of the Mandali or anything like that. He took me straight off the street, and it just I feel it gets deeper and deeper. Like I use it more. I use him more in my daily routine. I remember to. And so he's just, as they say, the constant companion. And I can't imagine life without him, I'll tell you that much. And he's brought me all of you guys, which is just amazing. I feel so incredibly enriched in so many ways. And I was reading recently that, like the way I feel love for Diane is different than the love I feel for Baba or the Baba in her. And that's really also changed. I don't even know how to put it into words, really, but it's changed my life. I guess it's because it's one thing to know you have Baba, it's another thing to recognize him being with you all the time. And that's when he becomes your bestie. That's really amazing. That's all I can say.
And very simply and beautifully put. I mean, that you know what your life was like before him, and suddenly this whole new spirit descends on you, and your life is never the same again. Beautiful. I mean, it's hard to kind of define what that is. I mean, how that happens, but you certainly it's funny. There was one time Bob was giving a darshan and he had the mandali there, and Baba, they were coming up and bowing before him, and he said, just casually to them, some man could come up here and bow to me and walk away as God, and you wouldn't even know it. But what I mean is he just can come and completely change who you are. I mean, I think of Baba, he doesn't change our nature. He just softens our nature with that presence that comes down and softens who we are.
But even the way I see feels different. Like when I'm It looks,
The trees look,
everything looks different to me. And he's only allowed me to grow with as much as you get out of your head. And, I'm not working now. And so there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. You have to be available. It's harder to hold on to him when you're in the middle of intense work and stuff. But when you really have the time to take him in as he should be, if you can do it that way, nothing is the same.
Yeah.
And you feel it's a safety, almost a feeling of safety.
Yeah.
it's kind of like when you get a new prescription and you can see things you didn't see before. Everything seems
Yeah.
brighter and more vivid and accessible.
Yeah. And one thing that Devana was just here, she spent a lot of time with Erich, and he shared this with me too. If you get into what you're doing, whether it's a computer work or being with your children or mopping the floors, if you get into it, even though you're not consciously remembering Baba, he said, God is immanent. Baba said, God is immanent. Baba can work through you, live through you, even if you're not aware of it. But then he said, when you come out of that absorption, and that when you remember to remember him. So even the things that we get totally one-pointed about we're still in the same room with Baba, so to speak, or yeah. Anything else here? Christina, anything you can pass, but anything that comes to mind with you?
Well, I had the pleasure of listening to your LA talk, the recording.
Yeah.
And I think you made a really great point about you were working in a medical setting and you were getting so sort of it was a stressful environment and it was harder and harder to remember Baba in that environment. And the thing that you said, I guess, came from Darwin, that you have to make inner space for Baba, which
Yeah.
I really appreciated that and have been trying to do more since listening to your talk. I'm working in a medical setting now, and it does get very busy. And so just as a practice, I'm learning to pause more, and especially if it's a stressful day, to allow that stress to flow to Baba and give it to him and make more space for him, his presence, so that when I'm interacting with patients, so that when I'm interacting with patients, I have more of Baba with me or in that moment, which is really helpful, actually.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it, and he has fun too. I mean, we have to think of his side of it. He enjoys being kind of included in all these, in various places during our day. But like I said earlier too, is that when you get totally absorbed in something, just know that he's there, working through you, living through you, even if your concentration is elsewhere.
Well, I had what comes to mind for me more so than my daily life is I was all of 19 at my my first trip to India, and I was offered the opportunity by Heather, who was in charge of cleaning some of the graves by the Samadhi. So I was offered the opportunity to clean one of the women's graves. It was facing the samadhi. It would have been the one to the right, just to the right. Is that Mani, I think?
Yeah, Mani's the one
Yeah,
to
I
the
think it's
right.
Mani's
Yeah.
grave. And it was Pamela Goodrum. She
Yeah.
was Pamela Wolf at the time. So it was Pamela, Heather, and I. And Heather was just walking us through the process. There were various sort of there's like a very special way that you clean this particular stone because it's in the sun so much that they're trying to preserve it. And I just remember in that act, it may have been like 15 minutes. Wow, it was the most profound experience. The presence, yeah, was there. And we were absorbed, we were absorbed in just cleaning, that simple act of cleaning. It was so powerful. And, it's still, I'm 47 now. So 28 years later, it still brings tears because it was just the most profound experience. And I think that's one of 2 times that I've ever really felt deeply connected to Baba, where I've really felt my soul, his presence, and that's become the standard. Of course, you want that all the time. And it's not anything that you can really recreate yourself. It's a gift. But maybe, maybe in remembering him and serving him in the day-to-day, there'll be little glimpses of that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So touching. No, we've all had these kind of moments, and they're just
Yeah.
things we can go to again and again because they're really timeless. They're not, there's no expiration date on them.
None at all.
Let's go to Gabrielle.
Hi, thanks. That was really
Yeah,
beautiful.
very touching.
Yeah, do you want a minute? That was really, really something. I've been lately, we have the Chapel Hill group has a sadra of Bible, and we keep it like in different people's houses, pass it from person, maybe for a few months in one house and then 6 months in another. It used to be in just a bag, but now it was given to the Chapel Hill group at the 69 Darshan. And so I don't even know what I'm saying now because I still feel the energy of your share. I'm still back with you.
Beautiful.
But that's kind of life. Like, I don't know. I feel like I first might have experienced my soul. I just remember when I was about 13 and I snuck out of the house early and saw the dawn on the beach. It happened to be in Windy Hill, right next to Myrtle Beach. Just by chance, we went to there as a family, but there was a moment where I felt something I'd never felt before, and I think it was my soul. It was a sense of my soul, and there's many, many different ways I experience my soul now, and I take it for granted. It's so much a big part of my life, and my soul is Baba. I was writing some things down here to try to. I actually had a poem. Could I read a little poem from?
Sure.
Okay, so this explains something. We have the Sadra here, and so this happened 2 nights ago. Okay, so Sadra. Hours had passed in this timeless silence. I might have stayed there, been lost there, had you not brought me back by my kitten's soft padding feet and quiet meow. I did not want to return from the peaks of silent snow and the whiteness upon blackness of the renewing void. Like one reluctant to waking, I let your breath breathe me in, still submerged. Baba allowed me to linger for a few more timeless minutes, and then the kitten began to misbehave in a small way, but enough to pull me back. And slowly, reluctantly, I came to the room. So, well, I want to comment on this, but I'll read it after. Okay. I know you wanted me to come back. Emmy, hi. Okay. I knew you wanted me to come back, but you knew how long it was good for me to be in that place. I knew you knew that my body might hurt later once I was back in it. Wheelchair sitting at the end of the day can be hard on the back. As I pulled back from your sadra, raised my head from bowing low, the kitten came onto my lap in a single motion, the way that cats only can do. Completely respectful of a rare extended visit with your royal emptiness. And I knew absolutely this is the moment of the soul, or one of the, and I knew absolutely that there was no one there but you, Baba. No me, no kitten. We were of the same cloth. It is why she sits by the door of your sadra room every evening, looking eagerly to me that it is time for meditation now. And how the stiller and deeper I go, the deeper your presence, she stays in the cubbyhole under the table in utter silence. For hours, Baba. That is not the way it is ever with her. That is logical, but tonight it was knowledge. I knew everything alive is you, Baba, and that everything apparently inanimate is you too. And I am one with it. It's like the wind in the trees. It's not the wind reaching through the trees or the trees calling the wind. It is one pure machine, one living amazement, life. It was not a concept. You gave it to me absolutely, just as you gave me love tonight in that infinite oneness in that timeless dimension for several hours. So,
Beautiful. Wow. Lovely.
thank you. Thank you, Barbara.
There's boy, that's a beautiful description of the you and the soul, the merging. Wow. Beautiful.
There were 2 things I just want to bring out of that. One is that that emptiness, like I don't always get to it, but in meditation, what I get, it's everything becomes compressed. I can't explain it exactly. And it becomes incredibly still. And there's absolute sturdiness. Like the soul feels very sturdy to me, and it's absolutely like a pillar of certainty, and that feels like a moment of soul. Like with meditation, I go through a lot of different places, but once in a while, I get to disappear, or once in a while, I get to feel that which is inside me, deeply inside me, also outside me, but deeply inside me. And so that's a moment. And the second moment of soul is, I think, away from me with Baba, that I just knew. It wasn't in my mind. I had, like I said, you gave it to me absolutely. There was this knowing. I don't have it this minute, but I had it that minute, right? I had this knowing that we were one. The kitten and I and Baba were. I can't explain it exactly, and I do believe that though it's a hard thing to keep. That it affected me and has changed me. So there's that moment with Baba that, like, how did you know is God? Baba is God, or how did you know he is your master? Like that happened to me too. There are these moments, and it's almost like I just slide into place. and I was meant to be there, at that time. So I don't know, I can intellectualize a lot about it, but that's what I wanted to share. Thanks.
Yeah. So descriptive, so beautiful. Wow.
And Gabrielle, I imagine that was your poetry that you read.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I just wrote it 2 nights ago.
Wow. Hot
'Cause I
off the
I have
press.
the Sadra here at my
Yeah.
house for a few months. And so, I'm incredibly enlivened by the presence of this Baba Sadra. I mean, I wouldn't have known. I mean, you think it's just an item of clothing that, and people, when we first got it to the Chapel Hill group, I won't say who it was, but somebody just put it on, and now it's like, that was in the old days. But now it's in a box, museum quality, and it's got like 2 covers, and but it is so powerful. It's it's so special, and I also prepared the room so for it and keep it sacrosanctly clean and all that stuff. So maybe I contribute to that too, that I have been willing to make that space for it. And I've been very much telling the Baba group to please come and sit with the Sadra. And today we had like 3 people came and sat with the Sadra for longer meditations, which is because I think we see it at a meeting, we bow down, but this just to sit you and Baba, or it's like being in the lagoon cabin, basically.
Where does it go after your house?
I don't know, but I keep it until after the New Life Day. I have it all through October, so I'm very blessed. 3 months.
I'm going to think of dressing my soul with this Sadra.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the original.
Well, actually, I'll tell you, nobody would care. It was Johnny Grumet.
Yeah.
Which, of course, who else? Who's passed on now, I can say that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nobody even knows him.
I'll pay
great.
FedEx to my house. I'll pay FedEx to my house.
I'll just tell you.
I'm not at liberty to. It's a whole committee thing.
Yeah. I just reminded of John Grumet, just as kind of a digression. John Grumet, in 1976, he came to India. We were there together. Now, he was still kind of deciding about Baba, I mean, he was open, but he hadn't had that moment. And then he was in Mandalay Hall, and one of the photographs came alive in Mandalay Hall, and he had this turning point, I mean, he got that Baba was everything and his everything. So the next day he's with Erich, and he's describing this most powerful experience in which is coming to Baba moment. And Erich is listening to him, very attentively and patiently. And after he came to the end, Erich put his hand on his knee and said, "Welcome to the slaughterhouse." I mean, who would ever say such a thing for someone for their first time they ever been to India? But John was such a person, he was kind of such a mature person that he could take something of that, something so that might terrify someone else. He just took that in, welcome to the slaughterhouse, brother. No, brother, welcome to the slaughterhouse. But just thinking of Baba Sadra, that why you have that, there was a time when Baba was, and some of the Mandali were traveling in North India, and Baba said this was a very spiritual, region, and they asked him what is to account for that, and Baba said, the robes of 2 of Jesus's disciples are buried here. Imagine 2,000 years later, these are just the robes of his disciples. This isn't even Jesus's own robe, and it still has that presence and influence after 2,000 years. There's no small thing. These things are full of divine impressions. Yeah. Okay.
Tony.
Well, why don't we have
Emmy.
Emmy
All right,
first? Yeah,
well, Emmy first, sorry.
yeah.
Right.
Hi, everyone. Gabriella, I'm so sorry for the interruption of your beautiful poem. Anthony and I were listening together on his phone, and I came in here to share something, and I guess it just the two Zooms at the same time made
Yeah.
that sound, but sorry about that. But I loved what you were saying, especially about being the pillar of certainty and feeling that, which is deeply inside. That was really powerful. So what I wanted to share is two little quotes. One is the quote by Baba that's just so widely applicable. If you want the consciousness of their souls to progress, express selfless love. So I was just thinking about like the consciousness of our souls progressing and how selfless love does that for all of us.
Yeah.
And also, I had one more quote I wanted to share. Something that Goher said. I'm not sure, Goher, at what point I was reminded of this quote, but something you said reminded me of the Rumi quote. That out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. I don't know if you know what part of what you read reminded me of that, but something.
Yeah, I was reminded of that myself when Goer, and then but there's the latter part. See, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is this field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, phrases, even ideas, something, even to phrase each other doesn't make any sense. Yeah, beautiful. I had the same, that poem came to me. There was something that Goer said there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas and language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. That's it. Okay.
Thank you so much for singing that.
Yeah, that was a song by a guy named David Wilcox. Put it to music. Okay.
Goer, do you know what part we were reminded of that?
I can't, off the top of my head, I don't remember any, but if I come across it, I'll let you know. Definitely.
But there was something you said that reminded me of that very couplet of.
Wow.
Of
That's amazing that it hit two of you the same way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when souls touch.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
All right.
You know, while I
ahead.
have, let me just share this one thought that keeps coming to me over and over again. You know, there are relatively few of us left on the planet that have actually met Baba, seen him, and had his physical touch and presence in so many ways. But all the rest of you who have come to Baba after he has dropped his body, to me, that is huge. I mean, you have no idea how blessed you are to have been touched by him, brought into his fold, for him to have, impacted your life in so many different ways. And this is all without being in his physical presence. You have no idea how supremely blessed you all are. So consider yourself truly blessed. And I bow down to your love for Baba, which is huge. So I just had to say.
Yeah, thank you. Beautiful. I think
Jeff,
Baba.
remember that quote that Baba said, someone told Baba near the end, about time to close the wine shop. And he said, no, time for it to open the wine shop. Goher was talking about.
Yeah.
I think that was Padri that said that to him
Yeah.
once.
Yeah. And Baba said, oh, maybe Tony can remember this. It's where the gist of it is that you will feel well, all the people that come here after I drop my body, you will feel my divinity, and you will share with them my humanity. You remember that quote well enough, Tony? But yeah.
That sounds about right, Jeff.
Yeah.
What you just said.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go to Tony. Tony.
Tony.
Something came to mind, but first I want to mention a good friend of mine who's a wonderful musician. He set a bunch of Rumi material, songs of Rumi he put out, and including the field, and it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. I copied what I think is the link into the chat, but if anyone wants to hear it, maybe before we end, it's about 5 minutes, and it's that far beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, I'll meet you there, and the whole lyric that you mentioned.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, see if you can cue it in.
It's queued,
At
it's
the end.
ready, so whenever you want, I can just go turn it on.
We'll end it.
Okay.
I'll share. Oh, go ahead.
So what came to mind for me that I had my hand about was lately I've been twice now I've shared with someone about a song that I wrote decades ago. At that time I was really studying Jung a lot, and he talks about, at some point he talks about dreams that feature the number 4 or square objects. 4 represents the self, the real self, the soul. And so when you start having dreams with those figures in it, it's something to pay attention to. And I started having some interesting dreams, and they also had a vehicle. So one was a sleek black jet with a really powerful engine. Another one was like sort of a Cadillac, but again, sleek black and a very powerful. And but it had 4 people in it, and I recognized them as people I knew from my elementary school class. Let me see, I wrote it down. 3 from my elementary school class, and then one guy who looked like a really wild rock musician type. And so I did some meditating on those figures, and what they reminded me of was Athena, the goddess Athena, the goddess of wisdom, who gave guidance to Telemachus, led him to complete his quest. Hermes, which is Mercury, but it's also the guide to the underworld, to the unconscious. Diana, who actually was someone named Diane, but it's that nurturing, loving quality. And the other one, this wild man, reminded me very much of Salvador Dali. And I wrote a song at the time called The 4 Friends of My Soul. And the line was Athena, Hermes, Diana, and Dolly, the 4 friends of my soul. Wisdom, knowledge, love, and freedom, together you make me whole. I'm so glad I finally found you. Wake me up and make me whole. You're the 4 friends of my soul. And each one got a verse. I sang it at Baba Samadhi too. But that's another aspect of thinking of the soul. You know, that is composed of these elements. These usually the idea of 4 key elements resonates with me, and I just wanted to share that. No big deal.
Yeah, I'll share. I'll share my first experience of the soul, but I don't know if it's so long ago. I don't know how I could really do it justice. But back in my college days, I was in New York City. And this is back in '67, I think it was. And I got into listening to the piano sonatas of Beethoven. And I mean, I was listening to one after another, whole evenings. And the pianist was Franz Schnabel, which I found out later that Francis Brabazon would listen to him when he would come to Australia. But in listening one night to one of these piano sonatas, I think it was Opus 109, I was listening to it. Now, I didn't even, what can I say? I hadn't really got into spirituality at that point. I was not at least conscious of it. And and I was listening in the middle of this piano sonata, which I played over and over again. The phrase came to me, this was composed 3 years after death. And suddenly I went into this other realm, I guess, of the spirit. And everything was beautiful, everything was harmonious. I went around for about a month in this state. And it was like timeless, everything, there was a oneness to it, surrounded by love and everything. It was quite beautiful. This is before Baba. And that kind of stayed with me. And then several months later, I heard of Baba and I became a Baba lover and everything. But then 15 years after that, I was here in the original kitchen, sitting at a table, a little side table with Tex Hightower, who'd been with Baba since the 40s, one of Margaret Craft's dancers and everything. And we're talking about, he lived there in New York, and we got talking about it, and then we came down to our addresses. And it turned out that we were like, our apartments were like adjacent to each other. There was only a wall separating his apartment where he had lived all those years in his life with Baba, and probably I bet he's got a sadra and all that kind of stuff over there in his apartment. And I'm over on the other side. And the atmosphere of his life with Baba, I must have gotten a contact high from it. We had a good laugh at it. But there we were, and it turned out that I had a lifelong connection with Margaret Crask and the dancers. And so I heard about, I felt Baba there months before I actually heard of Baba. And so but that was my first experience of being in another dimension that's behind this, you might say. That was my experience. And having had that experience, it makes it easier to go there and live in that space. Or like Darwin used to say, the personality self is just a storefront for the soul. We make such a big deal of the window displays and we change them with the seasons when we could go inside and enjoy the priceless merchandise within. It's right behind these jumpsuits that we're wearing, Okay.
So Ronnie.
Yeah, I seem to remember an anecdote where somebody was with Baba and they were saying that they can't really believe in God. They had trouble believing that there was a God. And I seem to remember that Baba suggested to them to consider if they believed that they existed or that anything existed. And they pretty much had to say, yeah, I believe that something exists. I exist. But you say, well, God is existence, infinite and eternal. That would be the definition of God. So I was thinking that the soul is about existence, and the part of us that exists is really is the essential part of is our soul. So I thought I would share this song that deals with that to some extent. I think I've sung it here before. I can't remember who wrote it, but you'll recognize it, I think.
Yeah.
Not these particular words, but the tune. There's no isness like Baba's business. Isness. There's no isness to know except the one he dubbed the illusion, the one we call reality, the one creating all of this confusion and all this chaos with a capital C. And this isness is Baba's business, and to his business he tends. He said that he would turn this world right side up, fill each heart's cup. So let's hold them up to him, so he may pour his wine of love to the brim. Let's toast him, he who is. One more time now. There's no isness like Baba's isness. There's no isness to know except the one he called the illusion, the one we call reality, the one creating all of this confusion and all this chaos with a capital C. And this isness is Baba's business, and to his business he tends. He said that he would turn this world right side up, fill each heart's cup, so let's hold them up to him, so he may pour his wine of love to the brim. Let's toast him, he who is.
Great, beautiful. I think one of
in
my
your letter, you
Bravo,
ended it with
bravo, that's great.
made me think of that. He is.
I think when Mandali said, you know, you people, you're holding your cup with the cup down, you know, hold it up.
All right, Janet.
Yeah, I just want to say I really appreciate everybody's willingness to be with me on this topic. And I have felt, I feel like my cup has been filled up by your stories and things you've said, and a lot of, I don't know if I exactly say food for thought, but of regeneration of some kind of understanding or possibility, and seeing that what I feel at times is the soul, and I just haven't really known to speak of it that way. And so I just want to thank everybody for being with me on this topic, and thank you to Jeff for putting it out so clearly.
No, it's beautiful. It was a great idea, and I think we kind of fleshed it out what the soul is down here at the street level. You know what I mean? That it's, and like I said, Darwin said that we're receiving infusions from deeper places within ourselves, that, and some of them that come very near to the soul. And like I say, feeling Baba's presence is feeling our own soul. That's for sure. That's the shortest path. So Tony, you have that song, and after the song, let's have a few moments of silence.
Okay.
Is it something you want him to share?
Yeah, he's going to play that.
No, but I need to make him host.
Oh,
I'm just gonna, I think this will work. I just put on my mic and I'm gonna play it on my computer, so you should all be able to hear it. If not, just let me know and we can try
We
some.
hear your air conditioning, so that.
Oh, yes, yes, no, that's going off right now. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so this should work. His name is Jeff Olmsted. His album is called Songs of Rumi, and this is track 3, The Field. If it's 4.5 minutes. If it gets too long, just let me know, and I'll stop it. But I think you'll like it.
Far beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there when the soul lies down in that grass. The world is too full to talk about ideas, language, even the phrase, each other doesn't make any sense. Far beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there when the soul lies down in that grass. The world is too full to talk about ideas, language, even the phrase, each other doesn't make any sense. Far beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there.
Oh, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Let's have a few moments of silence. Thank you, Tony. Jai Baba. Wow, thank you. Great to see Patty here from Eugene, Oregon. She's, and I think I saw SJ. I don't know if she's still there. Oh, yeah. And thank you all for sharing so, so touchingly. And what Terry said there, that's like very graphic. How you know how your life was and how it how it's just different just by that dropping into Baba's presence. So you folks, you have a nice week, and if you have any ideas of a topic, you know, and we can try to kind of write it up and frame it so that it's something we might be able to share about and think about. And just remember tomorrow's Labor Day, so I know you're all free of labor.
I just thought of another song to share. I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man. Okay, thank you.
Elizabeth Patterson's favorite song was Song of the Soul by Chris Williamson.
Oh, yeah. 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 No.
Jai Baba.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. Yep. Jai Baba. Much love. Have a great week.
Do you want to do Avatar 3?
Yeah, that's right.
Nasreen
Nasreen isn't here. Let's see. Let's have one person say it. How how about Peter?
I am getting the divine stop sign, so I think I'll need to pass to somebody else for today.
Okay.
I'm on low light, very, very, very low light.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's have Janet, because she's the one that they got this together.
Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Okay.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Thank you, everyone.
Jai Baba, everyone.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.